Thanks for joining us.
Talkline Network Radio, America's longest-running Jewish broadcast network, the voice of the Jewish community.
Welcome to the podcast.
You are now tuned in to this episode of our podcast. Today we are going to interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in our field. And now, please welcome your host.
You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
Howard's back. It's been a while since we last had Abe Eisner with us. He is a community leader, very active with so many different Jewish groups, but he also well connected politically, going back with Governor Andrew Cuomo when he was Attorney General. Excellent connection with the Satmar community, both Satmar communities, the current Mayor Eric Adams, and he facilitated a meeting just the other day between the two Satmar factions with Governor Andrew Cuomo and Mayor Eric Adams. And the thinking was the Satmar communities, both of them were going to be endorsing Mandani, and he sort of brokered where they got together with Governor Andrew Cuomo, and things are changing. Welcome back to the program. Thank you for joining us. Shua Tov.
Thank you. Shua Tov to you, to all the listeners. Thank you very much.
Take us behind the scene. What happened? Tell us about the meeting between both Satmars with Governor Cuomo, Mayor Eric Adams. How did it all come about, and what transpired?
Let me first say that whatever I say tonight, I'm not representing Satmar. I'm not representing the governor. I'm representing Abe Eisner. So
Understood.
Whatever I say is personal. So I've been involved with Andrew Cuomo since he was governor. We got a lot of things done with the Satmar community through him when he was governor, and they appreciate it. You know, in our community, there's a thing as a curse of life. A couple of weeks ago, Andrew Cuomo was 20 points behind. The campaign, I found, was not really that active. I was asked to participate and to join once Mayor Adams backed out, and all of a sudden the points went from, I believe, from 20 behind to 10 behind. And while we're on that subject, let's all talk a little bit about tonight's news that came out, I believe today, that right now Mandani is crashing. Right now, there's only a 6-point difference. And let's also remember that the early voting numbers are very heavy, unprecedented, over 500,000 people. And a large number of those are the older people, and a large number of those are Jewish people. So there's definitely a path to victory. But when I realized 2 weeks ago that things were starting to move in the right direction, before we get to Satmar, I organized some meetings for Andrew Cuomo in the Jewish communities. We started with Far Rockaway, we went to Flatbush, we went to Borough Park, all great receptions, all great conversations. Everybody understood the issue. And then I started communicating with the Satmar communities in Williamsburg. And rather than doing separate meetings like it's usually done, I thought it was a great idea to bring them all together in one room. We worked closely together while he was governor, and we always had them in one room. And this is what we call a Shas HaKosher. And so everybody puts their differences aside, as Mayor Adams did. He put his differences aside, and all of a sudden there was a great meeting, having everybody there. I do have to give a shout out to Menashe Shapiro from Mayor Adams' office. He was very helpful in putting this meeting together as well.
Now tell us who was at the meeting and from which Satmar groups.
So, in Yiddish, they say, was klender the olam, was grasser the simcha. We weren't looking to make a big
The smaller
meeting.
the group, the greater the joy. Okay.
Right, and the more you accomplish. So it wasn't even a sit-down, it was in the room. Rabbi Niederman representing the Williamsburg Rabbi Zalma Leib, Satmar Rebbe, and Moshe Indig, Rabbi Indig representing the Aaron Williamsburg in Williamsburg, and each one of them brought 2-3 people, so we barely had a minyan for Ma'ariv, but that's okay. And it was a great conversation. Mayor Adams talked about the importance and why he backed out. And he really cares about New York City. I didn't realize how passionate he is and cares about what's going to happen in New York City. And then introduced Governor Cuomo as the only man who's running currently, whether you like what he did in the past or you don't like what he did in the past. look at the future. He's the only man that can win against Mamdani, especially today after the new polls came out, and the only man that has the experience in running. He ran the state for what, 11 years, 12 years, running the cities is just as maybe a little tougher, but he definitely has the experience. And so there were some issues that were discussed. We have to remember the issues with yeshivas, very, very serious issue. Nobody having Mamdani as mayor, and we all know who he's talking about to be the commissioner of the New York City Education Department. That would be yeah, well, okay. That would be a disaster. We've kicked some names around with Andrew Cuomo's team as well. Not ready to discuss it, but we know that that's really key in making sure that our children, the yeshivas in New York City, are safe and sound, get the right education. So he's got his hands on the pulse, his fingers on the pulse. Andrew Cuomo does, and he knows what the important things are: anti-Semitism, security. Vouchers. Those are the things we keep on talking about. Those are the things that we discussed at the meeting with the two leaders from the Satmar community.
Now, were they receptive? Because a couple of weeks ago during the Sukkot holiday, we all know, we saw the videos of having Mamdani in the Sukkah where they pretty joked, he's the mayor, why wait, to announce he's a mayor. It seemed almost like they were endorsing him. Have they retracted to come back from that position now?
I can't answer that question. I wasn't there in the sukkah. I don't know exactly.
You were there at the meeting, so are they more receptive?
I was at the meeting. It was definitely more friendly and receptive. We all knew going into the meeting that we weren't asked, that the governor was not asking for an endorsement as mayor. We were looking for a friendly family reunion, and it happened to have been a very friendly, upbeat family reunion. That I can tell you.
Did they mention give any indication that they were going to support, have the community, the Satmar community support Andrew Cuomo, or are they going to stay out of the election? What's your impression?
I personally believe that the takeaway from that meeting was when the Satmar community sees the power of those pictures that were originated at my meeting, they'll understand what to do and to do the right thing.
Is the governor going to be meeting with both Satmar Rebbe's?
As far as I know, right now, that's not been planned. I'm working on it. Scheduling is not easy for anybody, but if we can fit it into a schedule, hopefully we can get it done. Look, I remember when Andrew Cuomo ran for governor the first time. He ran for governor the second time. Just a few days before election day, we went to both Rebbe's. I don't know whether it's going to work out now. It may be a scheduling issue. But again, going back to the first time Andrew Governor ran, and we went to both Satmar Rebbe's, there were two particular things that they asked for. And within a few months that the governor was in as the governor in Albany, those two things were taken care of.
Now, I understand from the governor in my conversation, he's going to be actually going to Queens to visit the grave of Lubavitcher Rebbe.
He was there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think he told me he's going back.
And right now they're scheduling for him to go back. Yeah, he's a firm believer that the blessings from Rebbe's and going to the aisle. Look, the Lubavitcher community, Crown Heights, I believe, was one of the first communities that endorsed him for mayor. They understood the importance, and they weren't even thinking doing anything else but that.
Tell us about your relationship with the governor over the years.
Well, I had a relationship with the governor. Actually, also more important than having a relationship with the governor was having a relationship with his entire team, all the commissioners. When I wasn't officially part of the administration, but because of the relationship, I found that if anything important came up in the different communities and it was brought to my attention, I didn't have to go to the governor. I went to the commissioner, I went to the heads of different departments, and they understood that the governor had no tolerance for not getting things done that were needed to be done in the Jewish community. Just as an example, the first couple of months that he was governor, there was we all know the New York State colleges have a TAP program, tuition assistance program, that precluded rabbinical colleges. He made sure that changed the first couple of months that he was governor. and passed a law to include rabbinical colleges. Started with a small amount, and it grew on a yearly basis. That's very helpful for yeshivas to have rabbinical colleges. The other hot issue that at that time, if I remember correctly, that was brewing was Metzitza B'Peh. We all know how important that it is to the Orthodox Hasidic Hamish communities. It was an issue in the city and this issue in the state. Well, in the state, we met with the New York State Health Commissioner, and we had a resolution that everybody was happy with. That's not what happened in the city. But I can give you a whole list of things. There's just not enough time right now.
Well, I understand,
to do
but
that
because
of items that were handled with full gloves and made sure that it doesn't become an issue down the line.
Because, as you know, and the Jewish community is going to be pivotal in this race. I urge every people to get 18, make a high pledge, get 18 people to go out and vote. But there are people that have issues with Governor Cuomo, and that's barring some of them from voting for him. I know that he's trying to work with that and did an apology, but I know that there are some very strong feelings out there too, both for him and also not supporting him.
Absolutely, but as we go through this process of pre-election, every meeting that he goes to and an issue comes up, he passionately talks about it, tries to explain what happens, and people seem to be satisfied at those meetings with his apology and his reasoning for what he did. That's about all you can do right now. You can't change what you did back then. You can talk about it. He's receptive about it. I mean, that all started back at the primary. First meeting we set up in Jewish communities, he started talking about it. He realized that what he did was not unacceptable to our communities. But at the end of the day, when you look at elected officials and you're looking for who to vote for, you kind of make a spreadsheet of columns and look at the good and the not so good, or maybe the bad, and see what the bottom line is. With the experience, the years of experience that he has, that's unbelievable compared to his opponents.
Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the outcome of the election day on Tuesday?
Look, Zev, I'll tell you exactly the Eisner poll if you want. This poll, that poll. So the poll came out today. Yes, it was only 6 points behind. I personally think it's going to come down to 50,000 votes. Mark my words. It's going to come down to 50,000 votes. Now we can get the Jewish community motivated and excited, which they are. They're coming out. Look at some of the lines at the early voting. It's like unbelievable, mind-boggling. I was out at some of the polls. That continues. Look at the pre-election early voting. 500,000 people came out to vote. 5 times as much as the previous. With all of that, it's going to come down to 50,000 votes, in my opinion. And so it's important that every single one of your listeners brings Chai, 18 other people, and goes out to vote, because it's going to be a very close race. But look at where we came from. We were 20 points behind.
And by the way, you mentioned 50,000. It's a number that percolates in my mind because I'm told that there are 50,000 Jews that have been registered to vote during the last number of months, which is a big number. I'd love to see double that amount.
Right, and actually that's closer to 75,000.
Now, okay, it's gone up, okay.
Yeah, and we know where those voters are voting for. Look at the Sephardi community. They were unbelievable in registering people to vote. They didn't let you take your kid to yeshiva.
They didn't let you yeshiva wouldn't let you in unless you're registered.
Right, you couldn't come to Yom Kippur to daven, no matter how much money you offered. Right, yeah, I mean, and so across the city. So hopefully, those new registrations, that'll be the magic number that's going to take us up the top. So yes, I'm very optimistic about it.
Yeah, and I always say I love what the Syrian community did. It was a party and deal where the entrance was that you had to show you registered to vote. They signed up 500 people just on one night alone. 500 people. This is what we got to be doing even after the election, Abe. I think we have to continue this voter registration and get more of us, because there's still a lot of people not registered.
Look at who he's up against. If his opponent gets in as mayor of New York, it's a close election. Look at Bernie Sanders, and I think he ran for mayor in Burlington, Vermont in 1981. Do you know what the difference that got him in? You know about how many votes he got in as mayor? That's what this whole DSA movement started. He came in with 10 votes.
Wow.
So every
Unbelievable.
vote counts. I urge the listeners, go out and vote. Every single one. Knock on your neighbor's doors, no matter what community you're in.
Anyway, thank you for joining us. And listen, kudos to you for bringing both Satmar factions together with the governor, with the mayor. And it's an important thing. Thank you for doing that. And I look forward to having you back on a future broadcast.
Yep. They're a great group to work with. Thank you very much.
With Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast, the pulse beat of the Jewish community.
For continuous Jewish programs, TalklineNetwork.com, or our 24-hour-a-day listen line at 641-741-0389. For past shows, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, Instagram, and all major podcast platforms, or jewishpodcast.org. Thanks for listening to the TalklineNetwork.com.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thank you.